One of the most common questions I get on these Skylanders hunting videos is why are you picking up multiple copies, especially of things of you already have in your collection? And it's true. You can see behind me, my collection is very complete. There are only about 20 items that I still need to collect. These Skylanders hunting videos aren't for me and my collection for the most part. They're for you. It's my goal to help you complete your collection too. And I know many of you have told me that you don't have stores near you that sell Skylanders anymore. So I travel around the country searching for stores selling Skylanders that I can find at decent prices, and I pick them up and put them in the shop. Since my shop is online, that makes these figures available to collectors like you. So all the figures, games, and portals you see me pick up in today's video will be available in the shop immediately following the release. So I'm headed down to Florida this week. This trip is just for a personal vacation, no big collections to pick up, so I just got my Prius. But since I'm driving, I figured I might as well check out some shops along the way, see if we can find anything new. So along the way, I'll be checking out some of my normal shops in Illinois and Tennessee. I will check out some new places that were recommended to me in Georgia. Then I'll be in Florida for roughly 2 weeks. If the timing lines up, I may find some time to hit up a collectibles convention. Not really sure what to expect there. I've never been to this convention before. Don't know if there'll actually be Skylanders or not, but we can check. Maybe some Battlecast, maybe some Lorcana stuff, because I'm into that as well right now. But we'll see what happens there. And then on my way home, we'll hit a few more places in Georgia and maybe South Carolina, North Carolina, that type of thing. Most of the places I've hit before, but we'll see if there's anything new this time around. Stick with me, and we got a lot of looking to do. My first stop on this trip is a regular store for me, Disc Replay here in Rockford, Illinois. This is a place I've been going to for years now, and usually have some pretty good luck here. So we'll see what they have to offer today. Looking through the bins initially, didn't really yield much, but once I started digging through, I did pick up a few items here, and this includes one Trap Team portal. Always like to find these. These have been selling out quite regularly on the site, so we'll always pick those up. I tried to pick up a copy of Swap Force for the Wii U, but I didn't check things closely enough, and when I got home just now, I discovered they gave me the wrong game. And unfortunately, Rockford for me now is a good 4-hour drive in one direction. So I'm probably not going to go return that for a $6 game here. But if anyone is interested in U-Draw Studio for the Wii, it's not even the right console. Come on, guys. You're better than that. But then we got a few figures as well. This shop did have 99-cent figures for Spyro's Adventure, so that makes it really easy to pick up some that I might not normally, such as Zook and Slam Bam. Makes it a great value then for Sunburn ×2, and of course my boy Camo. Then I also picked up one Eyebrow. I think this was probably $1.99 since the other figures were 99 cents each. But nice prices, selection can be so-so from time to time, but always worth stopping by. Now I'm back at one of my newest locations, this Mega Replay here in Bloomington, Illinois. I've only been here once before, but had some decent luck. And so now it's a few months later. I want to check in and see how they're doing and see if they've restocked, see what we can find. And it looks like they have restocked a bit. Got some portals there, but more importantly, these $1.99 Skylanders. Look at that. Just look at that. Do you see all the goodness? you know there's going to be more below. This next stop was potentially the largest haul I have ever gotten from a used game store. The most money I've ever spent, I think, in one stop, and definitely the most money I've ever spent on Skylanders in one location. Now, part of the reason for that big bill was this whole stack of games here. They had a pretty good selection, some decent prices, and I know when I shop at disc replay locations, they almost always have a like buy 5 items, get the 6th free type of deal going on, which typically applies to any games that I'm going to buy. So then this makes these prices even better. So if they're even close to market price, which they're usually under, but if they're close to what I would charge, if I buy enough of them, getting that 6th one for free does help the pricing a lot. But that's not all I got. Like I said, I spent $195 at this store. And so we didn't just get games. I got another Trap Team Portal. This one is for the Xbox 360. And I found a glow-in-the-dark portal. This one is for Nintendo, PlayStation, the interchangeable kind of universal portal. If you're not sure what I mean by glow-in-the-dark portal, I recommend you go check out that video right up there where I explain how to spot glow-in-the-dark portals from the standard versions. But even with all that, we're not even close to being done. I think the best is yet to come. I picked up 44 figures and items on top of all the games and portals. So let's go through these kind of rapid fire. I got them sorted out by game, and let me show you what I got. We got Hex, Whamshell, Boomer, Voodooed. From Giants, we have Series 2 Wrecking Ball, Series 2 Zap, Series 2 Prison Break, Series 2 Spyro, another Eyebrawl, and a couple of variants, Legendary Jetvac and Legendary Lightcore Chill. Moving on to Swap Force, got a Roller Brawl, Lightcore Warnado, Legendary Zulu, Jolly Bumbleblast, Lightcore Smolder Dash, Trap Shadow, Stink Bomb, Rattleshake, Fire Kraken, Hoot Loop, and a Nitro Freeze Blade. But we're still not done. Let's move on to Trap Team. Got Series 2 Hog Wild Frino, Deja Vu, Love Potion Pop Fizz, Lobstar, Jawbreaker, Blastermind, Bushwhack, Dark Snapshot, and Dark Wildfire. There were even some traps, which is actually a fairly rare find out in the wild, at least in the game stores that I go to. I don't know if people don't realize they're part of Skylanders, or they think they're not valuable, or what the problem is, but I just don't see them very often in the bins and stuff along with the Skylanders. Got an Air Screamer, Earth Hourglass, Easter Bunny Earth, the Life Toucan, which I actually think has a very good chance of being a villain variant, Steam Broccoli guy. And that in particular is because we got this Tech Tiki trap, which this trap was only available in the 8-pack that contained Steam Broccoli guy. So if you see a lot that has both the Life Toucan and the Tech Tiki, there's a good chance that this is going to be Steam Broccoli guy. Not guaranteed, obviously, at this point, but there's a better chance than if you don't see this trap. Got a Fire Screamer, Fire Scepter, Magic Axe, Magic Hourglass, Magic Rocket, 2 Undead Hand traps, and finally a Water Angel trap. So there you have it. I got all of those games, both those portals, and a bunch of figures and traps for just $195. But this trip is far from over, so let's keep moving on. This is another one of my regular shops that I visit. I've been coming here for years. Disc Replay in Champaign, Illinois. I've had some really good luck here in the past and found Imaginator figures here on multiple occasions. But as you can see, the case today is looking quite sparse. This is your average Skylanders figure selection at most game stores nowadays. I wanted to include this to show you that I don't even have all the luck all the time. There are stores I hit that I just don't find anything, can't pick anything up, and don't be discouraged. It happens. Back at McKay's in Nashville. Feels like a really long time since I've been here. It's potentially been over a year since I've been at this exact location. So we'll see what they have for us today. But McKay's is usually pretty good. Now, I will say I am definitely not a fan of how they store their Skylanders here, especially compared to some other McKay's locations that I've seen where they treat them a little bit better and they're in nice clean bins, separated a little bit, and some are even bagged up and such. But that's not the case here. Definitely slim pickings at this location, but was still able to find a few figures to walk out of the store with. There's Bumbleblast, Voodooed, and it's always a good day when I find my boy Camo. Now for another episode of Skylanders After Dark. I made it to McKay's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, just about 15 minutes before they closed for the night. So I didn't have a lot of time to waste. I quickly headed over to the figures, which their figure bins are almost always stocked well. I love how they bag the figures here. There were even some new in-box figures here, which even I haven't seen those before at McKay's like this, but always happy to see. The figures in the bags were a little bit higher than I really want to pay for some of those, but would be a great addition for any other collector. But make sure you stay tuned till the end of this video, because on the return trip, I'm actually going to stop at this exact location again, and we'll see how much has changed in roughly 2.5 weeks. If you thought the last stack of games I showed you was big, just wait. This is the stack I got at this next location. It's pretty massive as well. Actually, I think it's a little bit bigger than the last one. Now, in my experience, when you find that many games in a store, there is a very good chance you're going to have a lot of figures as well. And that tends to be the case at this location. Here I was able to find 18 more figures. We got Boomer and Zap, Series 2 Wrecking Ball, Hot Dog with his tail intact, Series 2 Zap and a Series 2 Flameslinger, Series 3 Chop Chop, and a Lightcore Warnado, along with a few swappers that they helpfully bag up for us so they don't lose the halves. Rattleshake, Firecracken, Hoot Loop, and Stink Bomb. Got another Hog Wild Frino, Chopper, and a little mini Gil Runt, Hurricane Jetvac, Astroblast, and even a Shield Striker. My next stop on the trip was a recommendation from a viewer of the YouTube channel, La Vaquita Flea Market in Jefferson, Georgia. This place was absolutely massive. I have honestly never seen anything quite like this in my lifetime. Other places like this may exist, I've just never been to them. But honestly, it felt like an entire city in and of itself. I mean, the aisles of booths at this location just kept going and going. They were even had street names to help you keep things straight or to give people directions, but each aisle had its own street name. All the booths here were very well themed. Every seller seemed to know exactly what type of booth they were or what type of goods they were selling. And so it was pretty easy to see whether or not they might have Skylanders at any particular booth. Now, there are a few caveats. This flea market is only open on Saturdays and Sundays. And I will say that it is completely up to the owners of the booths to open their shops. And so I got there pretty early on Saturday morning, right after they opened, and not all the shop owners were there yet. And so not all the booths were open, and I wasn't able to explore every single place. But still, I did find a few places that were selling collectibles, and even one that I did find some Skylanders at. So I wouldn't probably recommend that you go out of your way to visit this location if all you're looking for is Skylanders. But if you want a fairly unique experience, I would recommend checking this place out. There wasn't a big selection here, but they were fairly priced, so I did pick up a few things here. We got a hot dog, once again with the tail, and potentially my favorite vehicle, the Tomb Buggy. This next location was recommended by the same YouTube viewer, Charlie's Collectibles Show in Stone Mountain, Georgia. This is another flea market or marketplace style shop featuring many different vendors. The biggest difference with this one is that it focuses solely around collectibles, or at least that's what the name implies. And once again, I was still so awestruck by this type of thing even existing that I really forgot to record a lot of footage inside. I just recorded a few of these shiny enchanted Lorcana cards. This marketplace was definitely much smaller than the last one we were at. The last one had hundreds and hundreds of vendors. This one only had maybe 3 or 4 dozen, but because they were all centered around collectibles, it felt like there was still a wide range of stuff to look at and explore. Now, this shop I hit on Mother's Day, and I was actually greeted by someone at the door who let me know what their shop was all about, what was going on in the building, and also let me know that unfortunately a lot of the vendors decided not to show up because it was Mother's Day. So once again, I didn't get to explore every booth there, and I didn't actually find any Skylanders here, but it does feel like the type of place that there would be Skylanders if all the booths were open. This marketplace idea is something I really think I like. Once again, it's not something I've seen before, and especially one centered around collectibles like this. Since stopping at this location, I have done a little bit more research and found that other places like this do exist, even just centered around collectibles, just not in my area. So as I move forward, I've always wanted some kind of physical location for SCL, but I've always said, like, I don't think I can run a shop just centered around Skylanders. But maybe using a marketplace model like this, we can set up a collectibles marketplace. I could own one of the booths and just sell Skylanders there. And then all the other vendors could help draw in the other crowds with their other collectibles, and we could all coexist together. So that's something I'll definitely have to think about for the future. But for now, I'm on vacation. For the next 2 weeks, I was in relaxation mode. I collected magnets, I had some snacks, I saw a Simple Plan concert. I rode some rides, I got some high scores, I watched Snow White appear. I rode a boat, I rode the Skyliner, I found some hidden Mickeys, I got a new high score, I rode some rides while watching fireworks. I rose with the resistance. I tied my new high score. I found Skylanders at Disney. I watched a brand new drone show at Disney Springs. This show is actually pretty impressive, and pictures and videos will never do it justice. If you're a fan of Disney, I definitely recommend you check out this show though. I got a sneak preview of the new Pixar movie. I went on an African safari. I rode some more rides, and I had some more snacks. That was a ton of fun, but now it's time to get back to work. Next up, I'm off to Collecticon in Orlando, just for Sunday afternoon, the last day of the show. And I've never been to this convention before. I've never been to a Collecticon. I guess there's a few of them all across the country, and it's been a long time, honestly, just since I've been to a convention of any type, much less one specifically for collectibles. Once again, I'm glad to see that these things exist. And so this show had a lot of trading cards. It felt like the entire front half was nothing but trading cards, and specifically Pokemon cards seemed to be a very focused selection here in the beginning. I did find some Lorcana. I did find some other trading card games. There were a couple of booths that did have some video games, but they were few and far between. And I did notice that like anything that had non-trading cards, any booths that had non-trading cards items at their that they were selling, always seemed to have a crowd. It kind of helped them stand out a bit. I saw Disney Infinity figures even. I didn't see any Skylanders figures even at this booth, but there were people buying the Disney Infinity figures even though they were marked at $8 a piece. Collecticon wasn't as successful as I had hoped as far as Skylanders goes, but now I know for future reference. But I was still able to pick up a few games. We got 3 games for the Wii, including Spyro's Adventure, Giants, and Trap Team. Now it's time for a quick meeting with Chaotix Collectibles. Some of you may know him from his internet sales. Some of you may know him from Twitter. Some of you may know him from a previous video where I bought a $10,000 lot from him. This time I'm not buying anything so big or so grand, but I am making another purchase of a few hundred figures, and we're gonna stick those in the back of the Prius and keep moving. So I just made my second pickup of this trip down in Lexington. Met Lewis, had a nice little chat with him, and got some more Skylanders. So you'll be seeing those. There's one piece in there that will be interesting. We'll probably end up selling it on Whatnot and see what happens with it. But not something that I think I've sold before at auction. So we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, I am here at McKay's. Last time I was in North Carolina, I hit up both McKay's locations. But last time I was in Greensboro, and since I've been there, that location has actually closed and moved here to Mabane. So this is a brand new McKay's location, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. I made some comments last time about the Greensboro location and how the building seemed a little outdated. Maybe it was the original store, I don't know, or if they just bought a building that was available and made it work as long as they could. But it seems they had the same thoughts and decided to build a new building and move out here. And so this building now is only a month or two old, or at least the shop has only been open for a month or two. So I'm excited to see what this looks like. Let's go find out. At this new, or rather relocated location in Mabane, North Carolina, this used to be the Greensboro location, but I did pick up a few games and books. Really didn't have any figures to speak of here. Picked up 3 more games, Imaginators for the PS3, along with 2 copies of Swap Force for the Wii. Found Master Eon's official guide for Trap Team. This one does not have the poster in the back of the book, but you'll see this soon enough, I would imagine, over on Whatnot. We got Skylanders Universe, the complete collection. We've gotten a few of these books in, sometimes paperback, sometimes hardcover. This one is paperback, but it's in better condition than some of the ones I've gotten in the past. We got a hardcover copy of the Skylanders Universe Chronicles. So this is a book that covers, as it says, heroes, villains, elements, powers, locations. So it's not necessarily a guide for a particular game or anything like that, but it does dive into different areas of the universe, of Skylanders universe. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the Skylanders universe and the heroes, villains, elements, powers, and locations, this is the book for you. Then I picked up 4 more books, which aren't directly Skylanders related, kind of indirectly, and some of you may know what I'm talking about when you see these books, but I will be making a separate video about these books in particular. So I'll show you what they are, and for the full explanation, you're going to have to watch the other video. But we got the Guinness World Records Gamers Edition for 2014. Game On. I believe the Guinness World Records Gamers Edition turned into this Game On book. I could be wrong about that, but they're very, very similar in content. So by gamers, for gamers, all that type of stuff. But Game On for 2016, Game On for 2017, and Game On for 2018. You may be wondering why I even bothered with the 2018 copy, but once again, I'll explain that more when I get to the video specifically about these books. Next stop is another McKay's here. This one I have been to before in the Winston-Salem area. If I recall last time, I didn't find that there were figures. I didn't find any good ones,
but I did find a whole stack of games. So it'll be interesting now, a few months later, to see, did the figures change? Did they restock the games? What happened? We'll find out.
Well, this store did technically have a few more figures. There wasn't really anything worth picking up, but they did still have games and, once again, books. And I mean, McKay's is a large portion of the store does contain books. So I always try to remember to stop by and check out the video game guides section and see what I can find there. Picked up 2 more PS3 games, Giants and Swap Force, and then 2 more copies of Swap Force for the Wii. In the books section, I found Master Eon's official guide for Spyro's Adventure. This one is a bit harder to find. We usually see the Giants and the Swap Force books. That there may have even been a few, but I may have passed on them due to the either price or condition of the book. Just because I know I see them so often, I've started to get a little bit pickier about the condition of those. So I just picked up the Spyro's Adventure here, as well as the Master Eon's official guide to Trap Team. So we got 2 copies of that one on this trip so far. Another Skylanders Universe book, the Book of Elements. For whatever reason, this Magic and Tech book is the one that seems to pop up the most often. But I haven't seen it in a while. So we're gonna pick this one up here, especially for 25 cents. That's hard to pass up, even with a big crease down the cover here. I still think 25 cents is very much worth it for one of these books. At the last stop, I showed you the complete collection, Skylanders Universe Complete Collection, the paperback version. Was able to find the hardcover version at this stop. And then I found the Guinness World Records Gamers Edition, the 2013 edition. So that's one I had not picked up yet, but we'll add that to the stack of books that I will explain in a later video.
We're on to the next location. I got a comment from a YouTube viewer that mentioned they found some Skylanders at 2nd and Charles in Virginia. Now, I've never heard of 2nd and Charles, so I had to look it up, and it turns out it's a chain. We don't have it in Wisconsin, but it is prevalent in a fair number of other states. Maybe not a huge number of locations, but it's present in a lot of states. So I figured, since there's some here in North Carolina, I'm going to give them a shot, see what I can find. And if we can find something good, we'll maybe hit up a few more along the way home. So 2nd and Charles here in Matthews, North Carolina. If we can't find something good in Matthews, well, might as well give up, right?
I may have struck out at the first location, but it seems only fair to give them a second chance, right? I mean, it is in the name after all. Unlike the first location, I did find a small collection of Skylanders figures at this store. However, since they were all priced at market value or above, there was no way I could pick them up for the shop. So then, much like some McKay's locations, my hunting came down to the games and books. Got a new chain to keep an eye out for. Haven't had a whole lot of luck here yet, but slowly being able to find a few things. So if it's local to you, it may be worth your time. Picked up 2 copies of Spyro's Adventure for the Xbox 360, copy of Superchargers for the Wii U, and then a couple of books I haven't seen in a while. We got the strategy guide, the Brady Games strategy guide for Spyro's Adventure. This is the paperback version. And then I splurged a little bit. This was priced up a bit at $13.25, which normally I would just pass by that. But this book in particular, not only is it the hardcover collector's edition of the Swap Force strategy guide, so that's good. They did have another Swap Force strategy guide, the hardcover collector's edition, just like this, but it was open. And I don't know if you can tell if there's an extra shine here, but this is still in the original shrink wrap, which means that it still has these extras in the back here. I've had some of these before, but it's always detached from the book, and so I was never sure where they came from exactly, or or how they were packaged. But you can see, yeah, this book was just shrink wrapped, and there's extra stuff attached to the back of the book here.
All right, here we are at the final stop of the day. This is a location I've been to before. The Grid. It's Goodwill's very own video game store, their only video game store here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I've been here once before, found some stuff, bought some stuff. They had a decent amount of figures, so I'm expecting them to still have a bunch of figures. The question is just what's been updated. Is there more stuff? Is there better stuff? We'll find out.
I've only been to the Grid twice in my lifetime, but it's been good every time I've gone, I would say. Good selection and always fair prices and stuff to pick up. So this time I picked up 3 games. I almost passed on them at $10.99 for Swap Force for the Xbox, or Superchargers for the Xbox One. But then it's all the same game here. 3 copies of the game they had. But once I noticed a sign that said buy 2 get 1 free on any game under $20, that made this decision a whole lot easier. So we bought those 3 games, Superchargers for the Xbox One, and then I got some figures. We got 2 Series 1 Chop Chop, Sunburn, Voodooed, Ghost Roaster, and 3 Slam Bam. Found a hot dog with his tail intact, and 2 more Series 2 Slam Bams. So Series 3 Twin Blade Chop Chop, Hoot Loop, and a Stink Bomb.
It's time to check out another recommendation from a viewer of the channel. And this time we are back in Georgia, Buford, Georgia, to check out Video Game Trader. This shop doesn't open until noon, which, I mean, I get it, especially for gamers and such, especially if it's gamer owned. They don't like to get up in the morning. And I mean, honestly, most other gamers that would be shopping aren't shopping in the morning. So, like I said, I get it, but it does mean I have to wait a few minutes before I can go in. So, Video Game Trader, let's see what you got. Another new location visiting today, the Battlegrounds Comics and Games. This was a shop that I actually bought stuff from on Whatnot many months ago, and I forgot about it the past few trips that I've come down through Georgia, and so we're gonna check it out now. But the Battlegrounds in Dalton, Georgia, let's see what they got going on. As I mentioned earlier, I'm back at McKay's in Chattanooga for the 2nd time in this video. It's been roughly 2.5 weeks since I've been here, so let's find out what's changed, what hasn't, and how often should you come back and check out a location like this.
There's a drastic change in this figures section. Someone really came through and cleaned out everything worthwhile. There's legitimately just starter pack figures and a few stump smashes. The last time I was here was late night. They were closing the store in like 15 minutes. I had just barely made it before they closed. So I grabbed what I could as quickly as I could and tried to get out of there fast. But 2.5 weeks later, I wondered, what happens to that store? Are they actively buying Skylanders? Which I already kind of knew the answer to that. But it's something I like to check. That's why I recommend that. Like, if you have a local store that sells Skylanders, it's worth your while most of the time to go in and check at least once a week. You never know what might change. In my case, I found some more games. There's Giants for the PS3, Imaginators for the Wii U, Trap Team for the 360, Superchargers for 360, and Imaginators for the 360. Last time I was here, just 2.5 weeks ago, like I said, I was in a hurry and I kind of forgot to check the book section. But since I had been picking up a lot of books on my return trip already, I made sure to check this time. Found 2 copies of the complete collection, Skylanders Universe, both paperback, but they were in good condition. The price was right, so we picked them up. Another copy of the Skylanders Universe Chronicles. This is the paperback version as opposed to the hardcover that we got earlier. Also in good condition, also great price. Can't complain about that. Master Eon's official guide for Swap Force. So now we've picked up everything except Giants on this trip. And once again, I saw some copies of the Giants book, but just the price was wrong or the condition wasn't great. This one, the condition is quite good, and only 25 cents. We're going to pick that up. I haven't been checking all of these, but no, it does not have the poster in the back. Found another Book of Elements. Surprise, surprise. It's Magic and Tech. I told you, I find this one a lot. But I just realized now, looking at these side by side, there's different versions of this book apparently. I'm not entirely sure why, but if you look at the Magic and Tech down on the bottom, like it's a different banner, a different font, everything. The backs of the books look the same. They're the same price. Looks like the barcode is the same. I'll let you take a look as well if you can. I don't know if the camera will focus on that, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I might have to look into that a little bit more. Why these two books are different, or why they have that minor difference there. But at this store, I was also able to find another Book of Elements. Finally, it's not Magic and Tech. It is Fire and Water. So they do exist. The other books do exist. This one, it looks like it may have gotten a little bit of water on it at some point. Some of the pages are a little bit wrinkled, but they don't stick together or anything. It's still a very legible book. But yeah, maybe had a little bit of water damage at one point. But Fire and Water, we got that book as well. And I think that's all we had.